What's up, guys? Dave from Team Comic Core coming to you with a budget deck video for the 2014 format. Um, I know, but it needs to be done. This this list is based off of decks that I know are going to be cheap, and really good for the format. So we'll get started. Prophecies. I'm just gonna go on and say it. Prophecies. They're going to be cheap. They're going to be super duper duper cheap. Fate is at one. High Priestess is getting reprinted. Everything's getting reprinted. Pretty much that the expensive stuff is getting reprinted, so you can pretty much pick up the deck, the entire main deck, low rarity for like $100 or a little more. But you don't need an extra deck. But so yeah, so this is gonna be cheap deck. Evil Swarms is next. Cheap deck. Safe Son's getting reprinted if you play it. You can pick up pretty much the skeleton for like $70 and the emptiness for like 10 apiece. So about $110 for pretty much the main deck and the skeleton, which is the Ophions and everything. Next, Synchrons. Synchrons because um, the main two cards that were expensive got reprinted, probably except Black Rose. Um, you really don't need Quasar. You can pretty much just build, just a junk Doppel deck that doesn't go in Quasar, but Quasar helps a lot, so you can pick up the main deck for like $60 now with the tunings, and the extra deck's probably gonna set you back another like 50, $60 depending on what you get for it. So it's a really cheap deck. It's a really fun deck. It's a deck that takes a lot of skill to play because you need to know what to do at certain times. So yeah, next windups. I'm sorry, some of these are gonna like repeat themselves. So um, anyway, let's get to it. Windups. Uh, Still a good deck. It's just a harder deck to play, but still a good deck in its own right. Combo based. Not really much to say about it. It's cheap, really really cheap. The only expensive card is probably the Invoker, which probably went up because of the Mendolce support. So yeah, that's about it. E-Dragons, yes, E-Dragons are cheap. You don't need anything for them. You don't need the Dragosack. Big Eye's getting reprinted. Um, you mostly go into like rank eights and stuff with the Mythic Dragons and stuff. So honestly, E-Dragons are cheap now. They really are. You really don't need Dragosack. Um, Maiden, Blue Eyes, Maiden, whatever deck. It's cheap. It's three structure decks and you have a deck. Pretty much. Titanial. Sorry, not Titanial. Sorry. Uh, Princess plants are just straight up plants. Really cheap deck since Lone Fire went to two. Everyone's going nuts. So this deck has a chance of actually being good. Actually made a princess deck on DN, and it's not very good, but it's surprisingly does well. So plants definitely. Zombies again. Mizuki just went to three, and Plague Spider went to three. They're both commons now, or black rare, whatever Plague Spider is now. So the deck is extra cheap. The only like extra deck might be a little expensive if you do the Mali build, but if you don't, it's cheap, still cheap as all get out. Uh, Really, really good deck. It's consistent as all hell. I can tell you that much. Um, so yeah, zombies. Insectors are next. Of course, I'm gonna say Insectors because they're cheap in any format. They're good in any format. So yeah. I'm sorry if I know a couple of these do repeat themselves, but I'm not gonna do ones like like Dark World and Agents and that kind of stuff because everyone knows they're cheap. So like same thing with like Frogs. They're cheap. If you want to check out other cheap decks from past format that kind of carry over to this format, go check out my previous video. Hieratics. Hieratics are cheap. Hieratics are very very cheap because you can pick up you can pick up a Tums for like $6 on the low, but Gaia chargers are like you need to spend like $45 on Gaia chargers. That's the only expensive part. But other than that, the deck is cheap as all hell. So yeah, Watt or Watt Hunters Seahorse got a reprint, so deck is cheap. Deck is very cheap. So it's a really good deck too. It's competitive. It's very competitive. You like in main stuff like Messenger of Peace and Imperial Iron Wall and level limit area. Just it mains a lot of cool stuff. Malefic Skill Drain, extremely cheap deck now because Stardust just got reprinted, and that was the only deciding factor if you built this deck or not was triple Stardust. Now Stardust is a super, and this deck is cheap and it's very powerful. Like I mean, yeah, it's susceptible to like bottomless and stuff, but all those cards are at one, so you can basically just have a free 3K, 4K beater with skill drain on field and a Gear Town ready to get popped or something, or a Necro Valley ready to go. So extremely cheap deck. I think Malefic Cyberend's the only expensive card at like sitting around $8. So definitely try this deck out. It's really fun. Kweki Meru, Beast Warrior. It's the Beast Warrior deck that if you saw with McCole 40. It's a really cool build. You build it with the tankies because they're all Beast Warriors, and you build it with the bear and stuff. So, and this deck's really cheap because I was looking these cards up, and the Quackimero stuff's cheap, and they're pretty high rarity, but they're cheap because no one's playing it right now. So even with the new card Diamond coming out, I mean, makes the deck better, but you don't need the card Diamond. It just deck thins more. So yeah, next Madolches. This is weird for me to say, but no one is playing the pure just straight Exceed build. Everyone's looking at the TG or the Telly Madolche build that everyone's going crazy about. So those are the expensive builds. The cheap build is the pure build. All you need is 3 Magelline and 3 Mewfi, and just that's it. Even when Angeli comes out, if she, I think she's a super in Japan. Even when she comes out, she might even be a common or rare here. So honestly, I would not go nuts and freak out about this deck. You can pretty much pick up the skeleton for like $80, and that's pretty much the deck. It's basically the skeleton and the staples, and you get that the deck is done. So yeah, it's a good deck. It's annoying. People hate you for it. Next is Gimmick Puppets. Gimmick Puppets are those creepy dolls that you never ever fall asleep when you see them or play against them. But they are cheap. They pretty much came out in Number Hunters. They're getting way more support in the next Number Hunters, I think. They're getting really broken support in the next Number Hunters. They're going to become very, very, very good. And with the additions of Rank Up Magic, you can make really broke rank like C9s and stuff like it's like C rank 9s or something along those lines. Or when Legacy of the Valiant comes out and Astral Force comes out, you can rank up 2 above that, so you can make really broke rank 11s or rank 10s. So yeah, watch out for this deck. This deck's gonna get really popular. Next, Elemental Heroes. More notably, the Electrum Loop version of the deck. That version of the deck is still relevant and very, very good. Stratos losing Stratos did nothing for that deck. It just was whatever. You got an extra E-call, okay, but this deck is really good. Also, regular heroes like Bubble Bead or Mass Heroes, still really good deck. It's consistent. It gets the job done. No Stratos is whatever, but losing Stratos did hurt. But with this did make the deck with the extra E-call and the extra hero lives. We did get a little more consistency, but without Stratos, the deck isn't just the same. The deck isn't the same. So definitely this deck is worth checking out. The Electrum Loop is definitely worth checking out. I will try to do my deck profile for it. It's a really, really cool deck. So that is my list for the budget decks for this format. I hope you guys like it, and I hope to do more in the future. So comment, like, and subscribe.